Well, hey guys, and welcome to this video. Before we get into the content for this video, can I point you to a link in the description? If you have not yet started your EVE account, if you could use that link to open up your first account, it helps us both out. I get a little bit of love from CCP, but you get much more love because your character will start with a bonus 1 million points. So check out the link in the description. Let's get into the video. Welcome to what is, I guess, the first real episode of Noob Eden, and we are going to take a look at setting up your character. Now, you might be thinking, really? Like, surely I can't stuff this up, and you can't really, but there are a few tips that new players really should know just to avoid some problems down the track. So let's have a look at them. Your first decision will be to choose the race of your character. There are 4 player races that you can choose from: Amarr, Minmatar, Caldari, or Gallente. And as you go through the first few moments of the character selection screen, you can have a quick look at some of the examples of some of the ships that each of those races can fly. And here's the first real important point to make. It does not matter at all which race you choose. In terms of gameplay down the track, you will not be locked out of flying any ship based on your race. So how do you decide? Well, there are 2 things probably to consider. If you're the kind of player who gets right into the lore of a game or the role-playing aspect of it, then you may want to do some research on the 4 races just to find out which race really resonates with you. But if you would like to do some real quick research to get started, you can click these little icons and get some information about the weapon systems and also the politics of each of the race and a little bit about their enemies. And you can go through each of the races across the top and have a look at that information for the Caldari, the Minmatar, Gallente, and the Amarr. In this case, I am going to enlist with the Gallente race, and this will give me 3 bloodlines from within Gallente to select from. And once again, unless you're right into the lore, this doesn't matter. So select based on the gender you would like your character to be and the physical appearance that you like the look of. And that will bring you to this screen now where you get the chance to start to sculpt and really build the look of your character. I'm not going to spend time in this. You can play with that. It's pretty straightforward. You can spend as much or as little time as you'd like. You can randomize things, and I'm happy with this. We're going to go on to the next section, where you will be asked to select some more information about your character's ancestry and education. Once again, it does not affect the gameplay, so have a look through the information. If you're interested in the lore aspect of it, select something that you're happy with. And here's the time I want to pause and just talk a little bit about some important decisions we are about to make. Once you commit to your character, you cannot change some aspects of that character. You cannot change their gender, you cannot change their bloodline, and most importantly, you cannot change their name. At any time, you can change superficial things like your hair color and clothing. You can buy a resculpt certificate that will allow you to change your skin color, muscularity, body shape, but your bloodline, your name, and your gender are permanent. So really make sure before we commit that this is what you're after. So let's talk names for a moment. You'll see there's a randomize button that will allow you just to select or toggle through a whole heap of randomly generated names. That's one option. You can do it that way. Or you can type in a preferred name. So let's say I went with Barry. You'll see a notification whether or not that name is available because you cannot have duplicates. Let's try Superstar, and you'll see neither of those are available. I cannot use them. You will also see that there is a character limit with the little counter in the bottom right corner there telling me when I reach that limit. And finally, you are restricted to a first, a middle, and a last name. You'll see that the game won't let me put more spaces in to create more than that structure. So I'm going to type in the name I'd like for this character, Noob Eden, and I can see that it's available. Great. Now we're at the point of commitment. Once I press this enter game button, we are committed to this character's name, gender, and bloodline. Now before you do that, I want you to consider one last important factor. Something that a lot of older players wish they'd have known when they first built their character. I would strongly suggest that you choose a character name that starts with a letter somewhere towards the middle of the alphabet rather than at the front or the end, somewhere in the ABCs or down in the XYZs. Here is why. If your EVE career goes as planned and you love this game and you spend a long time in it, more than likely most of you will find yourselves involved in a large fleet battle at some point. Now, without going into the details of what that means, be aware that in a large fleet battle, often the opposing fleet commander will sort his enemy alphabetically, either from top to bottom or bottom to top, and start to attack the pilots at the top of that list. So, if your name is Aardvark the Great, starting with a double A, and your opposing fleet commander sorts his targets alphabetically, you're the number one target. And the chances are you are the one who's going to die first in this fleet. Now, far be it from me to tell you what to do with your EVE career, and if you're emotionally attached to being Aardvark the Great, go for it, enjoy yourself. There's no right or wrong, I'm just letting you know what may or may not happen. And now that you've made a well-informed decision, hit the enter game button and your character is registered. Newbs is alive. She's ready to start her amazing EVE career. From here she can go into the tutorial. I would strongly suggest you at least do the first part of the tutorial, although in episode 2 I'm going to look at the tutorial itself and some of the things you might want to skip, or things that we just don't do that the tutorial says you should. Alright, fly safe.